Yo, guys, it's the kid, back here again for another lovely episode of the Football Dugout, man. Nix, why don't you have your earphones on? I've got earphones. Devil's got earphones. Where are your bloody earphones, man?
Last time I had it in, it was like, oh, you lot telling me my mic's not working, and the reality is my mic's not working now. So listen to the people.
Look, man. Look, shave. Okay, shave. So, just coinciding with, of course, our main topic for this week is Leicester City. We're going to dissect about Leicester, talk about Vardy, talk about Brendan Rodgers. So, coinciding with that, the poll is out. So, head over to my Twitter page and vote on the poll with regards to where do you think Leicester City will finish this season? Top 4, top 6. First, all that kind of stuff. Are they a hype job? Are they the real deal? Is Brendan Rodgers giving these guys crack cocaine to smoke? What the hell is happening with these flipping dudes, man? So, before, of course, we go to our main topic, let's just say, Nix, Devil, how you guys doing, man? How was your week?
I'm good, man. I'm good. Listen, last time I was on here with my West Indies shirt, someone felt to mention that we lost Afghanistan. Well, we beat India, a resounding victory last time out. AD dropped 50 on the Timberwolves. AJ's got his belts back, and Manchester's red. I'm good, man. I am good.
I'm not as good as that, but I've just seen the Arsenal lineup, and I'm quite pleased.
Oh, is it?
The lineup, yeah. So
Aubameyang's up front, man. Tell me.
Aubameyang's up front. You've got Martinelli, Ozil, and Pepe behind him. So we've got natural width. We've got the creativity in Ozil. Xhaka and Torreira holding mid.
So who's on the left?
But I think Martinelli will be on the left and Pepe on the right, I believe.
Okay.
Torreira and Xhaka in central midfield. Xhaka's been good since he's come back in the team. He hasn't really done much wrong. And then you got Chambers.
The will.
We don't use that term anymore. That term is cursed.
No, will. Okay, look, man. Let's ride, man.
Freddie's at the helm.
All right, let's ride, man. Let's ride because we're on a time scale here because this is strictly have to be an hour so we can get time for the Arsenal game. Manchester derby, man. Let me just start off here. I was shocked. I was shocked. I couldn't believe that. I thought Solskjaer was a tactical break. I thought he was a managerial break, and I was shocked by Man City actually losing yet again. I was shocked by how Manchester United outplayed them, and I was shocked by how Solskjaer tactically completely outclassed Pep Guardiola. I thought it was tactical perfection, and literally the only goal that Man City scored came from a flipping set piece through Otamendi. So City never really cut open United. De Gea never had to really make that many saves. So really, Solskjaer's tactical plan, both defensively and offensively, was bloody amazing. So I've got to obviously confess to Nix here. Genuinely speaking, be real. Don't start talking in hindsight. Were you genuinely surprised by how well United dealt with Man City, or is that what you were expecting? Generally speaking,
I'm gonna be honest. They surprised me. And when I say they, it's both Manchester United and Man City. Man United surprised me at how good we were, and Man City surprised me with how bad they. Right now, how bad they're playing. Now, going into the week of Spurs and Man City, I was like, well, we should beat Spurs at home. I know it's not going to be easy because of Mourinho and they got, obviously, I would say their team's better than us, but we're at home, we need to win. And we do well against the big sides. After we beat Spurs, and I said, we can get something at Man City. I wasn't thinking about a win, I was like, we can just get something, get a draw. But in that first half an hour specifically, we destroyed them. Like, I was funny because I don't comment during the game usually because
why not? It's fun, man. You're missing out on a whole new world, baby.
Say something and then it come back to bite you like 2 seconds, just as you send tweet or you send a message on WhatsApp. But also because
it happens to me all the time. Deal with it. Cool. Like people have ripped and retweeted and brought back.
Nobody is surprised that happens to you all the time.
But
Devil, man, watch your mouth, man. When you go into Australia, man, go move those bloody koalas as soon as possible.
This game was so big, obviously it being a Manchester derby and so important in reality. When Rashford scored, like I was sending messages and that kind of stuff. And Kyle messaged me back like, this guy doesn't usually he hasn't sent a message during the match in about 2 years. Usually I come right at the end or maybe at half time at best. But when Rashford scored, I was sending messages. And Marshall, I'm singing Tony Marshall came from France. Like, I was pumped for this. And the players, they were pumped. And listen, Man City were lucky it was 2-1 because it could easily and should easily have been more.
Daniel James got that ass. Daniel James got that ass, man.
Yeah, man, Angelino.
Bro, no. Generally speaking, like, let me even come to Devil here. I just want to know, obviously, before you talk about the game, did Guardiola get Angelino from a Spanish orphanage or from a Spanish village? Where did this dude come from?
Well, I mean, he was there originally. Wasn't he part of their academy setup for some time? It was deemed not good enough.
I think he was from a feeder club or something, one of City's feeder clubs.
No, he was sold to PSV on one of those Spanish transfer kind of deals where Real Madrid are very good at. We'll sell him to you for like 2 million, and we'll put a buyback clause of about 7 million.
Yeah.
So it's basically effectively a loan for 2 years, and then we'll bring him back, and we'll give you a slight bit of extra money, and that's what happened. But in terms of the game, I was not surprised at the result. I'll tell you why, because I might have been surprised in the manner of the result, but not the result itself. Because Manchester United have done very well in big games against the big clubs.
Yep.
Tottenham, Chelsea, they played well against Liverpool.
Wait. Only team to take points of Liverpool in the Premier League this season.
That's what I mean. So in the big games, Solskjaer seems to be getting it correct. It's the lesser teams where he seems to have an issue. So I wasn't surprised in the result. In terms of what it means for Manchester City, they've got big issues there. Defensively, they're all over the place. He hasn't. That's their main problem. But there's a lot of players not performing. David Silva isn't the same David Silva. I think De Bruyne
it's his final season.
That's it. De Bruyne is consistently playing well.
Yeah.
But they haven't really got. They haven't clicked. They haven't really got into top gear this season. To the point where it's making them look like an average team. They don't look like the Man City that will just sweep teams aside. Even if they're not playing well, you just think, right, they're going to click into gear any minute and just destroy someone. They haven't looked like that all season.
Yeah.
Okay. So let's just move on here because again we're time specific. Juve and Sarri.
Sorry, Hava. Before we go and across the continent, we're gonna ignore Chelsea and their stinking run of form. We can't do that. I think that would be disrespectful for the viewers who tune in.
Okay. No, you're right. So, Juventus and Sarri. So what do you guys think? So let me come first to Devil here. To Devil here. So do you feel that Sarri is the wrong man for Juventus, or?
It's early days, yeah, and I know they're not all conquering at the moment, but Juve could easily go on a run where they win 9 games back to back and end up 8 points clear.
Still with Sarri.
That could quite easily happen in Serie A. Let's not get twisted. They've got the players to do it. It could happen. Maybe Sarri's just bored of Juve winning it at a canter, and he wants a bit of a bit of drama in his life. He likes a cigarette. Maybe he just wants to keep it close. But if they do not win Serie A, he should retire from football immediately. He should not be allowed to take another job.
Okay, wait, Deborah, let me lay this to you then. What if, let me paint a scenario. What if he comes 4th in the Serie A but wins the Champions League?
See, I still don't. That's not good enough. I know Juve. No. I'll tell you why. In terms of, hear me out. In terms of them actually winning the Champions League, obviously that's their goal. But to finish fourth in a league that has had one team in it for 8 years, that's low. That's low.
No. But Devil, they've already won it 8 times in a row already.
Yes, but you cannot
say that.
Name me 3 teams better than Juve in Italian football.
There's no. There's nobody. But
exactly. So how can you finish 4th?
No, but Devil, you telling me that you would chastise him for winning a trophy they haven't won since 97, 96, but all because they came 4th, you would still say, man, you messed up. Bro, for me,
I'm
saying this wrong. That's why he was brought in. He was brought in to win this bloody trophy.
But he wasn't brought in to finish 4th in a one team league.
You've already won it 8 times already.
Don't be greedy. They got to the Champions League final twice. So they know they can get there. They have the pedigree to get there. Okay, then once you're in the final, anything can happen. So it's not necessarily that Sarri has improved them so that they got to that stage. Do you understand what I mean? But it's definitely worse to finish 4th when you've won the league 7 years or whatever it is, 8 years running, clear. It's not even like they just pipped someone to the post. They've won clear for 7 years.
That's right.
Now you're telling me they're going to finish 4th.
There's a comment that I was just thinking what General Cruz said. He goes, if Juve would finish 4th, Sarri would already be sat before a potential Champions League final. That I agree with.
Exactly.
If he was struggling to, be in the top 4, then he would be sacked anyway.
Okay, Nick. Okay, Nick. Let me ask you this then. Let's say
if he did it, if he won the Champions League, or kept his job and was 4th, then
wait, Nick. Let me ask you this then. Wait.
People been sacked for winning the Champions League before.
Just quick question.
So same thing.
Wait, let's just say like, let me just give you a situation. So Juve, let's say like they're like 3rd, 2nd, 4th or something. But as we say, they're close to 4th, but they're sort of 3rd, 4th. They're in the semi-final of the Champions League and they're doing pretty well. But it doesn't look, but it looks like, let's say they're like 6-7 points away from 2nd and 1st. If let's say you're Agnelli, the Juve president, or your Nedved, do you then sack Sarri before he gets to this knowing that you can't win 1st anymore?
No, not if you're in a Champions League semi. If you're in a Champions League semi, I'll keep you. If it's in the quarters and you're 8-10 points behind, then I could get rid of you. Because being in the quarters is a bare minimum. But if you're basing that league form, for example, and then who you're actually playing to get to a quarters of Champions League, there's no guarantee you're actually going to beat the quality that you need to go and win Champions League. But if you're in a semi, you're nearly there. You got to stick with him.
So let me just take what Mo says. Just question for both of you guys. Let me come to David and to Nick. So Mo, shout out to my partner member Mo. He says that the league is number 1 for all top clubs. So let me come to Devil. If let's say you're a chairman or an owner, what would you prioritize each season, the league or the Champions League?
I think you'd prioritize the Champions League. You would prioritize the Champions League, but it shouldn't come at the detriment of your domestic league, especially when you're so far ahead of the rest of your domestic rivals. There's no way they should catch you up. Just because you want that, you want to win the Champions League as well. You should be able to do both. That's what they're going to aim for. They want to be able to dominate their league domestically and win the Champions League as well. And they have all the tools in place. They spent all the money bringing in Ronaldo and whatnot to do that. And just to go back, that's what happened with Real Madrid. Remember Jupp Heynckes? He won the Champions League and was fired because they didn't win the La Liga. And these are top clubs. They want to win everything.
Yeah,
it's
embarrassing finishing 4th. If that was to happen in his first season, I don't think Sarri would have a second season.
Cool.
So Nick, what about you? What would you prioritize then?
Look at Chelsea. You won the Europa League, but with everything that happened, whether it was behind the scenes or whatever it was, Abramovich said that's still not enough. Like we needed more, or the atmosphere wasn't good enough, or whatever it was. Relationship broke down. You still had to go, even though you achieved, your goals.
Bare minimum.
So I'm not saying he's going to be completely absolved from any blame or possible sacking, but if I was the chairman and you won the Champions League, for me, even if you finish 4th, it's a stay of execution. I say, all right, let me see what you're doing in the league this year, because that is your bread and butter at the end of the day.
Okay, look, fine, I'll bite then. Chelsea's form then. So Chelsea's form was going to be iffy. As long as Chelsea beats Lille, it doesn't matter. I always say Champions League this was always about the seal. It was always about the seal. So Nick, since you come up with this crap that we have to talk through each week, then what is your expert take, my West Indian friend, on Chelsea's recent form?
Listen, everyone was, and rightly so. He was doing well. Everyone was talking up Lampard and comparing.
Something better than Rashford. Who said that? Who? What? Who? What? Oh, no. I didn't say. Wait. Who? I think there's like a voice in the back.
I've made my statement. I'll deal with that at the end of the season. So I don't even mention that anymore. I don't even speak about it.
Nick's just talk, man.
But in the last 8 games, Chelsea have only won 3 in all competitions. In your last, you've lost 3 out of the last 4 in the Premier League. Now, I think this is probably the Chelsea that many would have expected earlier in the season. Because
losing to West Ham.
Well, it's not about who you're losing to, but even then, because of the team in terms of the young players, the inexperience of Lampard, the loss of Hazard, and obviously unable to purchase, I expected these inconsistencies where results you will get like Everton away, and a London derby. It is a London derby nonetheless, and West Ham usually lift themselves for those kind of games. That's what I was expecting. So how they started the season, that surprised me more than anything. Now I'm asking, is December going to be the month where we see, I don't know, the Chelsea that most were predicting at the start of the season, even many Chelsea fans? I don't know if many Chelsea fans predicted them to finish in the top 4 this season. And maybe January, now that your transfer ban has been lifted, Lampard might have to dip into that market. And if he does, and the money's available, the pressure's now on Lampard, because at the start of the season, there was no pressure on him because he couldn't sign anyone, lost his best player. So it was kind of a free hit. Whereas Solskjaer, for example, he had 6 months prior, then he spent 120 odd million or whatever it was. The pressure was on him. Even though the score still wasn't good enough, the pressure's there. The transfer ban's lifted. Chelsea were 8 points clear of 5th place at one point. He has to get top 4 from this position. The pressure's on.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. I agree with that 100%. I think this Chelsea were always going to have a dip in form. That run they went on where I think they won 7 games on the trot, something like that. That wasn't normal. That's not what you would expect from a team or a club in the situation they found themselves in at the beginning of the season. I think this is more of an accurate, display from a team in that situation. So I think now the pressure is on Lampard to turn it around. We will get to see his managerial ability now if he can get these young players up and playing to the standard they were playing to a few weeks back. And I think they will come out of it. And I think in January you will see Chelsea dip into the market and buy 1 or 2 players to bolster what is already a good squad. So
if you had to make a prediction now, this is quite early, where do you see Chelsea finishing at the end of the season?
Cool.
Better be top 4, bro. Better be top 4. Top 4 Champions League semis, CL semis.
I'd say top 4. I'd say top 4. I think only because I think Tottenham have given themselves too much to catch up on them. And I think Man City will round out the top 4. So I think Leicester will finish in there. We're going to move on to that anyway. But I think Chelsea top 4, yeah.
I've got a question I hope, though, because with an 8-point gap at one stage, obviously it's down to 5 at the moment. And now that the transfer ban has been lifted, if Lampard doesn't get top 4, because obviously at the start of the season, most wouldn't say it was a failure if he didn't get it. If he doesn't get it now from the position that we're in, would you class that as a failure from Lampard?
I mean, yes and no. Yes, because it's all about top 4 Chelsea, European champions. So you're expected as a European top degree team to finish in top 4. But no, because you have to look at the situation he started in. Okay, now people say, oh, well, you have your January transfer window. But still look at what he had to start off with. He couldn't even buy anybody in the summer because most managers are able to get at least maybe 1 or 2 players in that first summer window and see what they can do. So I just still think that based on the situation he's had to deal with so far, it's still hard. And remember, it ain't easy getting guys in January. People say, oh, they'll get Sancho, they'll get Chilwell. Trust me, very few quality transfers are bought in January.
Mkhitaryan might be available. Ronnie Edwards.
I think Rome, I like him.
Phil Jones.
Yeah.
Matic. He's available.
Are you sick? All right. So last topic before we obviously go to our main topic right now. Let's look at this Bundesliga tables. Let me just read some things out because I know your boy Nix is an EPL merchant. So come on, expand your bloody footballing horizons, man. Bloody, So Mönchengladbach 31 points, Leipzig 30 points, Dortmund 26 points, Schalke 25 points, Freiburg 25 points, Bayer Leverkusen 25 points, Bayern Munich 24 points, Hoffenheim 21 points, Wolfsburg 20 points, Union flipping Berlin 19 points. That's insane. That is absolutely flipping insane. I mean, I don't think I've seen a table like that at this stage of the season for ages, And I think that, you see, people will always say that, oh my gosh, that just shows how bad the league is. You should always have a team that's very strong. You should really only have a 2 or 3 horse race. But isn't it refreshing if you can see a full-on wild, wild west title race where you have 5-6 teams all trying to get bread. So I just think for me, it's very refreshing to see that, because the way Bayern Munich have lost their era of invincibility. So obviously, I'm going to come first to Devil with this right now. So two questions. Do you think Bayern will end up winning it? First thing. If Bayern Munich don't end up winning it, who is your money on? Because I asked this question like before to some other people, and everybody said one team are going to win it. And we're actually going to get about that guy who is actually younger than me. But Devil, go for it.
Yeah, I'll answer the second one first. Leipzig, I know that's who you're speaking about. Nagelsmann, what is he, 32? 31?
He's younger than me. What the hell? He's younger than me.
Yeah.
I've heard 45.
Relax.
Well, what does your identification say, and what's your real age?
I plead the fifth.
Yeah, okay, all right. No, to be honest, I think the Bundesliga is refreshing because you don't know what's going to happen from week to week. It's not just the big teams are beating the big teams. It's you've got some really troubling teams like Freiburg are having a wonderful season, and they're taking points off big teams. You had Mainz, who got beat, I think it was 9-0 by Leipzig, and then a couple of weeks later beat someone 6-0. You know what I mean? It's all over the place. It's crazy over there. I think if Leipzig did win the Bundesliga, it would be mayhem over there because they are hated.
Yep,
they are hated for their business model and the way that they
the whole Red Bull thing.
You know, they are not liked. The German public do not like Leipzig at all.
And they came.
They did
to winning a couple of years ago.
Yeah, they dropped off quite bad at the end.
And I was feeling them on. I'm like,
see, I kind of don't want them to win because of their business model.
Yes, I understand.
But I also like the way they play football, and I like that they use young players, and you know they breed these young players.
Man guy, like, I mean, look, for a manager to be that young, I mean, that successful is crazy.
Well, I mean, their ethos is they won't sign players over 24. I think it is. I think they don't sign players over the age of 24.
So they're pedophiles then.
Yeah.
Manager has to call an older player uncle.
Yeah, so I think Leipzig. It'd be nice if Mönchengladbach won it. I've always had a bit of a soft spot for Mönchengladbach just because I've never known how to pronounce their name. And once I figured it out, once I figured it out, I liked him. So,
for me personally, I want to see anyone but Bayern first and foremost, and then
Union Berlin. You want to see Union Berlin win the Bundesliga?
That'd be a good story.
If possible,
Union Berlin. Wow.
Why not? I mean, I don't know their history, but they're not Bayern. And, you know, as a neutral, outside looking in, you like to see that competitiveness. And now what it might mean, if Bayern don't win it, they might just buy all the best players from, you know, everyone that finishes above them, and then they'll 10 years in a row, you know. But for that one moment, you know, that Montpellier with Olivier Giroud and, you know,
Giroud's finest moment.
Valencia, I know it was actually twice under Benitez. The Leicester City, those moments is what the neutral fan and generally football fans, what we really live for. We like to see that unpredictability, and I think it would be brilliant if Bayern didn't win it. And if Dortmund weren't the one who replaced them, because it would be like, all right, they're the two biggest. Even on Bayern's worst season, we still couldn't, you know, get past Dortmund. So it would be for another team.
Okay, let's just hit this super chat here from Gatlock, which I think he's trying to be clever here. So Gatlock, £2 super chat. See, thing about Gatlock is that you're Nigerian. I know from your accent that you're bloody Nigerian. So I don't know, Nigerians like to be very, very clever. So this dude says CFC might not make top 4, but will be in the Champions League 2020-21. So by that, are you trying to tell me that they won't make top 4, but they'll get to the Champions League via winning the Europa League?
Yes.
Because they ain't going to be champions. We know that already. We do know that, right?
Wait, okay. Nick, says who? Have you seen the future? Do you know the future? Is your name Nostradamus?
My name is Raven, and I can gaze into the future, yes.
Your name is what?
Let me get them lottery numbers.
Oh, Raven. No, you didn't watch that?
No, let me get them lottery numbers, bro.
Yeah.
forget all this.
And also, tell me whether I'm reaching about 5-6 years. So I know if I'm not, I know how to change things. All right, let's go over.
When they get hair transplants through on the NHS. Couldn't help myself. Sorry, bro.
That's deep.
Let's move on.
Man, that's deep. I'm not involved, man. I'm not involved.
You led me there, bro.
You guys.
I just crossed the line.
You're treading on very thin ice. Treading very thin ice. Let's talk Leicester City. Okay, look, man. Okay, guys. Let's cut the crap right now. They're not winning this whole thing. Let me just say this right now. If Liverpool, because Pep Guardiola has decided just to make me look like a fool, City might still win it, but that's for another day. If Leicester City win this title, first of all, it will be a greater achievement, much better achievement than when they won it the first time, because for them to win it, they need 90 plus points, because Liverpool are on course for 90 plus points. So for them to win it, they're going to have an incredible flipping season. But I'm very impressed with what they've done. Something just tells me they're going to come undone. So let's see what this whole December fixture schedule will do. I just believe that come February, they're going to relax, and then you're going to see sort of Chelsea, City, or Tottenham even come and say what's up and everything. Maybe even those dudes called Ole and everything. So, Nix, before we actually go to what Leicester City have done so well and really investigate them and Vardy, just on a macro level, do you believe that Leicester City are going to be the team that pushes Liverpool all the way until May?
Yeah, I do. I actually think they're going to finish second. I think they're going to finish in top two.
Nix, relax. Top two?
No, we're going to get onto it, but City, and I'm not saying they've given up, because that would be doing a disservice to every team that has beaten them or done well, because I think they are trying, but they just don't have it right now. And what may happen is that come, later on the season, their interests are in other competitions because they realize, the chances of winning the league aren't there. Leicester have no other distractions. Leicester just have Premier League and maybe a FA Cup run, depending on how the draw falls. So if anyone is going to push other than Liverpool for a title, for me, it has to be Leicester. For me, you're looking at a big injury to Vardy, Ndidi. I think those
Ndidi, that dude, Ndidi. Show some respect.
If either of them were to get a long-term injury, then it could be very detrimental. I don't know. Well, they haven't got the backup for Vardy for long-term. And as far as I'm aware, they haven't really got a backup for Ndidi long-term either. We've seen players have come out. Players like Pratt came in for
Perez.
Barnes was on the bench when Iheanacho came on. Started. Fuchs came back in for Chilwell a few weeks ago. So they've got cover in certain different areas and players that can fill in. But I think those two key positions, and arguably one at centre back. I'm not sure their backup. So staying fit is the key for Leicester, and if they can do that, I don't have any reason not to think they can push.
Yeah, I agree with Neeks. Actually, I think they will finish second. I think they will be consistent till the end of the season. I just don't think they'll be consistent enough to make up 8 points on a team that don't look like ever dropping points. I think that's why there's no title race. Nothing to do with Leicester or the rest of the chasing pack, but just because of consistency of Liverpool. We have to remember they got 97 points last season. They did their job last season. If they do that again this season, or get anywhere near that again this season, they've won the league.
Yeah,
and I think that's another point. Speaking about Manchester City, that Neeks kind of touched on, is the motivation's not there. They've won the league the last 2 years with 198 points. They won everything there is to win domestically in England. This year, it looks like they're just not as hungry as they were the last 2 years, which happens. We've seen it, which just shows you how much of an achievement Ferguson did all those years ago when he won back to back to back.
Why?
It's not easy.
Why?
It's not easy.
Relax.
No one else has done it.
Mad. It's actually mad.
There's a reason for it. No one else has done it. There's a reason for it. So I think Leicester will finish second. I think in January they might pick up a couple of players to bolster the squad and really push to finish in the top four.
And I'm not saying they would have won the league last year, but that's what Spurs didn't, capitalize last season. Because on the turn of the year, they were mathematically in the title race. They were closer to the top at that stage than Leicester are now.
Mm.
Didn't buy anyone in January when it was clear they would need someone, and they fell off.
But also Tottenham had other interests in Champions League or whatever else. Leicester, as you said, they just have to look forward to one game a week. You know.
All right, so let's talk about Jamie Vardy and the craziness that this guy is just doing. So I'm going to come first to Devil. So what would you put it towards? Do you think it's down to Brendan Rodgers? Do you think maybe it's the system? Do you think that he never lost his goal scoring touch? He just needed perhaps the right set of instructions and the right setup to really show what he can do? And does this now show that maybe that England do need a Vardy? So what do you put this down? Because again, this doesn't make sense. Remember, this is a guy who started off very late. And I think you would think that as a striker is going on, he begins to decline. So how would you sort of, in a footballing sense, answer how he's been able to score so many flipping G's consistently this season?
Because he's an intelligent footballer. A lot of people just think he's a pace merchant.
Yeah. Why didn't he do this before in previous years? Why this season? Why not previous years?
The problem that he had is once they won the league, they changed their ethos. They changed their philosophy. They started to play all defensively, and they tried to play possession football. They tried to do slow build up, and that's not Vardy's game. What Vardy needs is a player. Mahrez was very good at it before. Is pick the ball up, look for the space in behind. Vardy's going to make a run, find him. Yeah, that's what you want to do. Counter-attack. Vardy's very, very, very good at finding spaces on a football pitch. He's quick off the mark, so he might be fast over long distances, but he's also very quick from a standing start. So if he gets the ball and he makes a move on the defender's not going to catch him. He's gone. And he's a very, very good finisher. Very good finisher. He doesn't necessarily need 2 or 3 chances. One hit, bang, it's in. He's a very instinctive striker, and I feel that Brendan Rodgers has realised how to get the best out of him. You have the creative types, Maddison in behind him, Pires, who gets in and around the box as well.
Also play faster. Barnes, I think a faster game suits
from front to back as quick as possible. Once you get one goal ahead, then you start playing your counter-attacking football because the other team have to come out. And you've seen it many times this season where Leicester have been 1 goal up, and in the last 10, 15 minutes, they've got 2-3.
Yeah.
And Vardy scores important goals as well. And he's about to break his own record. He scored 8 games running in the Premier League. I think he's got the record for how many was it? I think was it 12?
12, I can't remember.
Yeah, which he broke from Van Nistelrooy.
Yeah. And he broke it against me.
Yeah, and it looks like he's about to go and break his own record. And I think people don't speak about Vardy enough when we're talking about the best strikers in the league. Yeah. People tell you Kane, Aguero, blah, blah, blah. He's there. He's there. Even in his worst seasons, he was still banging a few goals compared to most strikers in the league. You know, I think we need to start really having a conversation about Jamie Vardy and how good he is in this league.
We do. Shout out E-Man 300 and HH doesn't watch. That's a Raven. He watched Nollywood, and shout out. He spotted it again. Neeks loving the West Indies cricket shirt. Big up,
Neeks, man. Just answer the damn question, man. Stop being directed. What the hell?
He's just upset because
to read it out in it. So
Neeks has got fans, and
but nah, I think the key Devo touched on right at the beginning. He's an intelligent footballer, and as you said, people just thought because Leicester play counter-attacking, long ball over top, run onto it, and that's how he's going to do. So if we're going to sit back now, then he's not going to be able to get goals. But because he's intelligent, it's about finding the space. So whether that space is in behind or he has to pull back to the edge of the box or whatever it may be, if it's a ball up the inside reverse pass, he will find that space and find that find the area he needs to be in to get the goal. And I think that kind of number 9 is so important and underrated. He doesn't have to drift out wide, cross the ball, get involved in all that link-up play and do, like, I respect Kane. Kane drops deep and pings the ball. That's cool. But
he doesn't have the speed of Vardy, man.
I'm just saying, that's an attribute. But every striker and every player doesn't need to be the same. That kind of striker who is there to get goals is so underrated in modern-day football because everyone must be a jack of all trades. Must be able to play on the left, the right, behind, up front, and hold up the ball back to goal. Listen, Vardy's a striker, a throwback to an actual number 9. and he can play as a 1, he can play in a 2, and as you said, the guy. What I would say is that he's getting that respect this season, and people are realizing, you know what, we have to big him up, because when he did drop off a little bit, it was like, one hit, one
season wonder,
that kind of thing. We knew that this would never happen. He's living the dream, but it's not going to happen again. But he's come again and somewhat reinvented himself, because the team ain't playing in the same way that they were under Ranieri, and definitely not in the same way they were playing under Puel. So, yeah, man, big up Vardy and big up Brendan Rodgers. I think the guy scored 25 goals. It's Brendan Rodgers.
Yeah, so again, that leads me to my next thing now. Brendan Rodgers. Maybe Rodgers. So for me, I feel like maybe Rodgers is on a little mission, because I think he feels, obviously, that whole mess up in 2014. How things happened when he then got sacked in the next season. Obviously, he went to sort of maybe reinvent himself, so whatever you want to call it, at Celtic. And now that he's now coming back, because remember, whatever he did at Celtic, nobody would ever have given him the respect, because it's a one-team league. So do you think that for Rodgers, he's coming in back now to the Premier League, and what he's doing with Leicester City is saying to people that no, I put me in the hat as one of the best managers out there. So should we already, December, almost halfway through this season, should we already say now, Rodgers, he's already an amazing manager, or do we need to wait until the season is out before we really critique Rodgers? Nix.
He's coming to destroy football. That's your word.
We'll get to him. We'll get to that dude. I'm gonna rip that dude open. From what that dude said, I'm ripping that guy open. But Nix, go.
No, I think I can't put him as an elite manager. He hasn't won any major trophies in any major leagues, so I can't give him that. What he did at Celtic was impressive, but expected to an extent. How he did it, maybe not as expected in terms of the way they were playing the football. From what people say is, the style of play is not what they've seen in Scottish football for years, maybe ever, in just terms of the style of play. Obviously, we know there've been better Celtic teams in the past, Henrik Larsson and them man there.
They didn't lose a game.
Yeah, so the way he was playing, he did all he could, and he did it at the, to the extent which he did it. So you can't take anything away from that. But for him to be considered an elite manager, one, he has to at least finish the season, because again, we're not even halfway yet. We don't know what's going to happen in the second half of the season.
Yeah, we don't.
But he has to just, if he keeps Leicester in the top 4, I think when I can call him an elite manager, if he gets Leicester, let's say what was to win the league with Leicester, of course, elite. But go to a big club, and I'm not saying Leicester's not a big club in their own right, because they are, and they've got a lot of money.
Look, Nix, let's keep it a stack. They're not a big club like Madrid and Liverpool. Let's just keep it real.
Than Man City's owners. So he could stay there for X amount of time. And the same way Man City came up and became who they are now, there's no saying that Leicester could not, because the money is there. But if we're talking about when he becomes elite, because he might not be there for 5-6 years, I would say he has to go to a big club, like when he was at Liverpool, and say, well, I saw what I did at Liverpool. It didn't work out. Now I'm going to show that I've changed. I'm a better man now. Let me go and win something. So I have to give him his props for what he's done so far, but I wouldn't put him elite just now.
I agree. I think it's too early. I think it's too early to call him an elite manager. I think he has the attributes to be an elite manager, but he needs to win something. He needs to go and win some things. Leicester City might or might not be the right club for him to go ahead and win those things, just because of the makeup of English football. I mean, if he goes and wins an FA Cup, that's a start. And you never know, that could happen. I think a lot of people look at the attacking football that he played, but also you have to look at what he's done at the other end of the pitch. Leicester are very solid defensively as well. They've got one of the best defensive records in the league. And, having sold Harry Maguire for 80 million, who everyone was like, well, how are you going to replace Maguire? And the replacement was already there.
Yeah.
And this is what I like about Leicester Football Club is they're very smart. They don't just splash money.
Don't panic.
Trying to chase success. They're very smart.
Sense, man.
So most of the players that they sell, they already had the replacement within the squad.
Yeah.
And they bleed them for a year or whatever, and then they get the big bucks. This guy just slots in and we move. So I think Leicester City are very, I respect the way they run, especially when you think of all of the things that happen there. And obviously the tragedy that's beset that club. For them to come out of it and just do what they've done is quite admirable. And I think, Brendan Rodgers, he's a smart man as well. He's a very smart man. All that talk about him joining Arsenal and everything like that. And, his comments were said knowing full well that these guys are going to have to pay me. They're going to have to give me a contract. They're going to have to pay me. All everyone's like, this guy ain't got no shame. He's like, well, there's no clause in my contract saying this, that, the other. Next week, boom, 5-year deal. The man's a genius. Yeah. He knows. You don't have to portray yourself above your stairs unless you know what you're doing.
which is bloody weird, man. So before we get to our final thing, so Armchair Critic, thank you for the super chat, says, do you think Cristiano will show up in the knockouts? He better. Because that's what he's there for. Because he ain't good for anything else. So if he doesn't show up in the knockouts, then he's
when he gets to the penalties,
irrelevant.
Penalty shootout.
Bro,
I agree.
They never said it, not me, man. Yeah. All right, so look, man. Let's talk Pep. Let's talk Pep. So let me just do a mini rant here. Pep must think that was stupid. Like, he must think that was stupid, because to come out and say certain things, I think you're having a laugh now. You're having a laugh, and I think it is very insulting how he's allowed to make these statements. So, off the back of the loss to Manchester United, 14 points behind Liverpool, Pep Guardiola opened his mouth and said that City can no longer, he believes Man City can no longer compete with the elite teams. That they're not really up to the standard of a Liverpool or a Real Madrid or so forth. That's what he said right now. Wait, no, Nick, let me learn. So, let me get this straight. You've spent all this money. This team has a De Bruyne. This team has a flipping Bernardo Silva, a Sterling, a so forth. You have all this money in the world that you've amassed, pretty much a bottomless chest. And you're now in your 4th year. But you believe, in your 4th year, you believe that you are not at the same standard as a Liverpool. What did you have? So what did Klopp have with Liverpool that you didn't have? What? Tell me. So I find it ridiculous and stupid, and he has to be called out on this. He has to, because my thing is, if you're a Man City player, what are you supposed to be thinking? You're like, wait a minute, is he using mind games? Is he trying to play mind games, or does he really believe that we're not good enough? Because see, my thing is to say that after the Manchester United loss, a team that you should have beaten, but you lost at home, embarrassingly, tactically. To come out and say it's for me, I just feel that it reeks of a really, really poor mentality. So let me start first with the devil. What is your take on Pep saying that? What do you think is his thinking or his logic saying this? Is this a mental tactic he's trying to use to sort of like remotivate his team, or maybe put pressure on other teams? So what do you think is his thinking saying this statement?
I think it's mind games. I think it's mind games. I don't think he thinks or believes for a second what he's saying. I think it might be engineered for him to somehow try and take pressure off of the players and trying to just get them back into playing a natural game. Trying to say to him, look, we can't compete with those guys. Just go out on the pitch and play what you know you can play, because they're not performing. That's the only sense I can make from that statement, because otherwise it's just wild and false. You don't have the war chest they've had and to spend the money they've spent over the amount of time they spent it to turn around and say we can't compete with it, because otherwise you're just telling your owners, you know what, fire me, which could be another thing. Maybe saying, you know what, sack me. I can't do any more with this. Maybe there's something behind the scenes, and he's like, I'm ready to bounce. I can't bring you the Champions League. I've done what I can in this league. I've won everything domestically. Sack me. I want to be paid, and I want to move on, because no one resigns anymore. No managers resign anymore because there's no money in that. So maybe this is the start of something where Guardiola starts saying wild statements in the press. The results aren't there, And he's basically saying you're gonna have to pull the trigger because I can't take this team any further. So I don't know, but for me it reeks of mind games. I don't think he believes it for a second what he's saying.
Reeks.
I do think it's mind games, but I think it's more mind games with the owner. And now he can't complain about not being backed. That's the first thing. But I guess most managers want more money. Whatever you give them, they want more. Klopp didn't sign anyone this summer, and he at the start of the season made some talks about, we wanted to get XYZ, but we didn't. Now, because they're on this good run, it hasn't needed to be mentioned again. But if they were in a reverse position, I could see him making certain statements because he wants to be backed in January. Pep wants to be backed in January. He didn't get Maguire in the summer because Man City, not him, he don't care how much they spend, but Man City weren't willing to go above 65 million. And he missed out on the centre back. They obviously haven't replaced Company. Laporte's now in.
They want to get Umtiti. Apparently, he wants to get Umtiti in January.
He wants someone, and
they need something.
Exactly, and he knows they need it. So by saying, when he said they can't compete, which he also said in the summer, he mentioned about we can't compete with XYZ in the market. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? You spent, £1 billion in 2 days kind of thing. But he's trying to put pressure on the owners to say, look, this team is aging in certain positions or weak in certain positions, which I agree they are. It's not an excuse to be 14 points behind, but they are weak in certain positions. And he wants to be backed in January. And maybe if he's not backed in January or not promised a certain war chest in the next summer, he may call it quit. Or he may make certain statements that force their hand to get rid of him. So I do think it's mind games. Same way when he was making mind games last season when he's like, this team is not ready to win the Champions League. And you're sitting there like, well, Liverpool won it. Spurs got to the final, but your team's not ready. Ajax got to the semis, but your team's not ready to win the Champions League. No, he's doing mind games, and it didn't. Yeah. And it might not work this year, but in terms of actually getting what he wants, which is, I think, players.
Okay. Just to sort of closing on this, man. How do you think this all ends? Do you see Pep leaving in the summer? If you see him leaving in the summer, where do you see him going to? Do you see Pep sticking this out for another 2-3 years? Do you see him taking a sabbatical? So where do you think this all ends to? Devil, how do you think this all
I think he probably will have one more season in him.
Which is
next season.
Yeah.
I think next season will be his last season. Where he goes from there, I don't know. Could maybe back to Barcelona. You never know. But I think he will have one more full season in him.
Yeah, I agree.
So why? So Nick, you're saying the same as Devil?
Yeah. I don't think this will be his last season. I mean, nothing will surprise me in football, but Man City will be foolish to get rid of him after what could turn out to be one really bad year. They'll be very, very foolish. Who do you replace him with? Klopp? Like, who do you actually replace?
Oh, God, could you imagine that? Oh, Liverpool fans would lose their mind. I'm here for it. I'd love
No. Klopp would never do that. Klopp would never do that. He would never do that. Yeah. So look, last 10 minutes before we have to get out of here for the Arsenal game. I mean, quick predictions for the Arsenal game?
I've just seen Bellerin got injured in the warm-up. So,
wow.
Yeah, Miles has come in at right back. So, yeah, he's just coming at right back.
And you're away.
Yeah, we're away.
West Ham are a bit shaky in that stadium.
West Ham are shaky no matter where they are. But anyone playing against Arsenal is a chance to turn your season around. That's what we do. We're friendly. It's not just the Christmas season; it's all season. We're just very grateful, very gratuitous people. We just give you what you want. Basically, someone put a tweet earlier about Pablo Fornals, who they signed for 28 million, and he's not scored a goal since he's been there. He will score tonight. I guarantee you. If any of you are gambling people, Pablo Fornals to score at any point, he will score today.
Wow. I'm gonna go Arsenal 2-1.
Wow.
1. I just break the lineup. Martinelli up, he's lively. Aubameyang's up front. Pepe, even though he hasn't, no Daniel James, but he's looked decent when he has played.
Wow, he's not Daniel James. Jesus.
He looks like Rick James. He looks like Rick James, let alone Daniel James.
But I'll say Arsenal.
Yeah, I think a draw. I think it'll be a draw, 2-2.
All right, so Champions League, Inter or Roma to go through, if you had to pick. So, sorry, Inter or Dortmund to go through?
No Messi.
Yeah.
No Messi. They've rested Messi.
Who's at home?
Inter at home.
I think Inter will go through. Do they just need to better Dortmund's result, right?
Yes, or match.
So
Yeah.
Match. They're on level points and they got the better head to head, haven't they? I think Dortmund will win, but Inter will beat Barcelona and go through.
I think.
All right.
I think Inter's gonna edge that match.
So let's keep it real. Do you see a scenario where Red Bull Salzburg beats Liverpool?
You know what? I've liked what I've seen from Salzburg this season. They are.
Is this where this hype beast plays for? That's Haaland.
Yeah, Haaland. Yeah, but Haaland's been on the bench for a lot of these Champions League games, which people don't understand. He's been coming off the bench and scoring a lot of these goals. They've been starting with Minamoto and Hwang, and those two boys there are ballers. They're just relentless. The movement there is ridiculous. They're everywhere and they're dangerous. They've both got great finishes. And then they bring on Haaland, and he just does the rest, kills the game off. But they've got a very solid team and they're very quick. I think if Liverpool underestimate them in any way, shape, or form, which I doubt they will, but if Liverpool start sluggish, for example, Salzburg will be all over them. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a nervy game. I'm not going to say they'll lose, but I think Liverpool will sneak through.
Yeah, I could easily see it being a draw. Obviously, a draw will be enough for Liverpool. So, yeah, I'll be very, very surprised Liverpool went out. And the thing is now, because I would say at some point in the season, a bit earlier, some Liverpool fans will be like, you know what? I'll give up the Champions League if it means we win the league title. But now that you're 14 points clear of City, you can do both. You don't have to worry about league, Premier League. I mean Champions League, Champions League. You can all play your best team in the FA Cup, which you refused to do last year, and still the league. Yeah.
All right, and keep it real now.
Keep it real.
What?
Keep it Lille. That's what you meant to say.
Can we keep it Lille then? So we're going to assume that Chelsea will be in the Champions League knockout stage. We can all assume that.
So Chelsea have to play. Who are they playing? They're playing Lille, yeah.
Lille at home.
So effectively, yeah, because Valencia and
all Chelsea needs to do is win because
Chelsea just needs to win again. Yeah, and Lille have. Although I think they won their last game, but they were pretty poor before that. They hadn't scored a goal for God knows how long. But I think they won their last game. So who knows? Maybe Lille will turn up and all the chances that they've been missing recently will go in.
If Chelsea draw, they could go out. If Valencia, they need to better
Valencia's result.
Better the result of the other game.
Yeah.
So if they win, they'll need okay.
No.
They just need
Chelsea
to win their game. They just need to win their game. That's it. And then Ajax will take care of the rest.
Lille's got 1 point.
But they've been in that. Yeah.
Chelsea cannot lose that.
But the thing is, Lille have been creating chances. They just haven't taken anyone. They've had against Ajax in the last game. They missed 2 sitters from about 6 yards out combined. Do you know what I mean? So it looks a lot worse than what it actually is.
So just to round it off then, Bayern Spurs, what I mean, even if they're both through, but if you have to say, because that's obviously like the big game of the week. So Bayern, Tottenham, Bayern at home. How do you see that going?
I hope Bayern.
Uncle Mood, I think Bayern are going to take another L at their crib.
I hope Bayern spank them. I hope Gnabry gives them 5 this time.
If I'm honest, I think Mourinho should rest players because they got Wolves away on the Sun.
True.
Yeah.
And they're already through already. Yeah, true.
They're guaranteed second, so they can't. Even if they win, they're still not going to top the group.
Yeah.
So, I'm not saying a whole second team, but certain players. I don't know if you like Son, who works a lot, and maybe Amora. Bring in some other players. Like maybe change your build whoever's name.
Yeah. Lo Celso should get minutes. I think the same.
Someone who's probably going to be going soon. Yeah, player, whoever.
Yeah, I agree.
All right, guys, that is all from us here. Let's just try and get in time for this Arsenal flipping game, man. So that's all from your boy HH, Nix Devil. Remember, you can follow Nix and Devil in the description box below. Follow them in the description box. Join them. Give them a follow via Twitter. So, guys, man, stay true, stay real, and hopefully next week we'll be celebrating Chelsea's long road to Champions League semis berth, man. Easy, relax, man. All right, guys, I'm out. Peace out.